My goal with all these videos is to help you better understand what is necessary for you to get better, and more importantly, understand that you can get better. And it's probably not as complicated as you think. So this question is, can the exercises actually make my herniated disc better? And we're going to talk a little bit about what you have to do to make it better. But a question that comes up a lot is, as I'm doing the exercises, do I need decompression? Do I need the medicine? Do I need the surgery? Do I need the injections? It all comes down to, when you treat the cause, the problem goes away. So what is the cause? Well, you have back pain because of the disc. But the cause is really not the disc. The question is, what causes the disc to be herniated or bulging or degenerated? And if you treat the cause, the problem goes away. So herniated discs can actually go away if you treat the cause. And our program is all about treating the cause. So when the question comes up, do I need any of these other things? Decompression, chiropractic, physical therapy, I'm doing exercises, laser, massage, all these things. Do I need the injections? If they help you get to the exercises faster, then the answer is yes. Or if they give you the ability to walk further or better or longer, which is the same as further, I guess. But if you have the ability to do more of the exercises, then the answer is yes. But you are not damaged when you have the herniated disc. People have this belief of, oh, it's herniated, it's hurting me for 5 years, it's damaged, I have a bad back that's never going to get better. Your back will get better if you treat the cause. And one of the things that we found out when we did our study of 5,000 patients with using MRI, that's upright, functional, weight-bearing, moving MRI, the 3D MRI, is certain motion patterns will cause the disc to push out. And when the disc pushes out, it's a very painful experience. So the disc is causing the pain, but the question is, why is it pushing out? And this is what we went through over the years since 2007, where we looked at the MRIs and said, what has to happen here? Well, what we identified is there is a solution, but there's also a very specific cause to the herniated disc. And if you treat the cause, the herniated disc gets better. Motion, very often, we'll call it, in this case, flexion, causes the disc to push out further. And when flexion causes the disc to push out further, it can be very painful. One vertebrae on top of the other. Flexion would be actually leaning this way, which would be forward, which is flexion, and extension is leaning backwards. So in this case, flexion is causing the disc to push out. We know the disc is like a jelly donut in the sense that the outside of the disc, there's a very thick material called the annulus. Inside is the jelly. The jelly can move. So we talked about the other day the multifidus. And when you have back pain for a long time, the multifidus will physically get fatigued, worn out, and atrophy. The multifidus is the muscle that sits right in here. So this is your spine. Multifidus will be right here. And this is flexion. So the multifidus holds you into extension. So what happens is when you have pain for long periods of time, the multifidus will physically start to atrophy. And here's the multifidus muscle. And as it starts to atrophy, you'll develop this fatty tissue that develops in the muscle. And the longer you have it, the bigger it gets. So what do we know? When those muscles are weak, multifidus holds the spine When those muscles are weak and you're not holding the spine the way you should, what happens is now you have the ability, multifidus sits right back here. When the multifidus is weak, what happens to the spine? Well, it does this, okay? It naturally goes slightly into flexion because there's nothing there to hold it into extension. So as that's happening, you're going to develop a slight wedging because the muscles that hold here are weak. You had atrophy. And as these get weaker, this gets a little bit looser, and then the pressure goes in this direction here. So you get a wedging shape. And that wedging shape causes the disc to push out. As it pushes out, you're going to develop the tear, you're going to develop the aggravation, you're going to develop the inflammation. That causes the pain. Okay? It's the wedging shape of the disc that causes the disc to push out. Now, there's different mechanisms and different muscle weaknesses that'll cause that, but in this specific case, we're talking about the multifidus. So there are some people that get better in one direction, and there's some people that get better in other directions. This one is only about the multifidus. So this is not for everybody, but the principles are for everybody. When you understand the principles, you understand more about what you have to do. So multifidus, if we make it stronger, what happens is the vertebrae start to get closer together and give you some of that stability that you need that we've talked about. And as the vertebrae get closer together, what happens is the disc starts to go back to the inside. So what do you have to do? You have to activate the nervous system. We have to increase the neural drive because the pain in this particular situation has shut down the neural drive. We have to create that stability in the armor, as we call it, in your core to hold it. It holds the vertebrae in place. And as it holds the vertebrae in place, we can get the healing in the disc. So the herniated disc can physically start to get better as you strengthen the muscles. This is why strengthening is so important. Do you need those other things? Sometimes you do because the pain is so bad. But if you're moving forward and you're doing the exercises and you're feeling better, then you probably don't need those other things. Because you do run the risk of those other things potentially making it a little bit worse too, which does happen for sure. But the herniated disc can go away. Now, does it go away on everybody? No. Does it have to? No. Okay. As you stabilize and strengthen the spine, the pain can completely go away because things are functioning normal. This is why we say pain relief is weakness leaving the body. What was the pain? The pain was the motion pattern. That's why you have it. You treat the cause. Condition gets better, you feel better. That's the key to what we do. That's the goal. Do you need those other things? Only if it gets you to the exercises faster. Because if you're not getting into the exercises any faster, then you might not need it. That's the goal. If you're interested in our program, we have a 5-step, 5-phase process. Walks you through step by step what you have to do. Okay? You have to restore healthy movement patterns, create the stability like we've just talked about, create the endurance, the strength, restore the motion to the hips and the shoulders, create the functional strength. It's 5 steps. It's a continuous process.